All right. You're all set, Nicolette.
Okay, awesome. So today is session 6 of the STEM Arrive seminar series, and it's also being provided as a STEM Thrive session, and it's navigating the STEM undergraduate part 2 of the series.
So, hi everyone. My name's Diana. I am a retention specialist with our STEM program, and I'm helping Nicolette today present on this Arrive/Thrive cliff for all of our STEM Arrive and Thrive students.
Did you want to do the check-in still, Deanna, or just go
Yes,
straight into it?
let's go ahead and do the check-in for folks who are here. So thanks, Ayla, for being here. If you wanna, for this can be for anyone like us as well, Nicolette. We just want to get a pulse check from folks on how folks are doing. At this point in the semester, there are a couple of weeks left. We have 4 weeks left, not including the fall break coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you want to use the chat and share maybe. Um, a rose, which is something that you're currently enjoying or something that is currently bringing you joy, and then a rosebud, which is something that hasn't happened yet, but you are looking forward to. I think it's important to just like really think about those things, especially if it feels challenging at the moment. So if folks just want to put that in the chat or if folks want to share that out, I welcome you all just to see where folks are at coming into this um, presentation.
Wait, did you say all three or just the rose and rosebud?
You can do also thorn, which is a challenge. You can
Okay.
do just one or two, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay.
Mhm. Thanks for sharing, Nicolette. So I see your sticky notes are a thing right now. um, plants and speech bubbles. And I see Nicolette's gonna watch B movie tomorrow. Is that the one that's hosted by our admin staff? So for folks
Mm-hmm.
who don't know, our admin support, which are our students who help run like our front desk and other projects, are hosting just like drop-ins for students, and the B movie is one of them. So just keep an eye out on the newsletter. But I'm also excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Zayla for also sharing. So a lot of folks are looking forward to the break, which is
Yes.
so exciting, even for us. And then also just getting caught up on classes and passing, which is super important. And I hope that in this presentation today, there are things that you probably are already going to recognize as things that you've been doing, that you've heard about in other spaces. So we're hoping that a lot of this information is not new, but just reminding students about um, a variety of resources, a variety of like techniques and things for you to think about in terms of helping you finish the semester strong. So thank you for sharing, Zayla. All right. Um, moving right along.
Okay, cool. And sorry that I forgot to pass it to you to introduce yourself, Deanna. I completely spaced my mind. Okay, so I just wanted to take a moment and reflect where we started off with part one to where we're going with part two today. So creating your foundation was really looking at the what of the tools, resources, and information you can use as a STEM undergraduate student and giving a little bit about why leveraging those resources and information matter. Today with part two, we're going to be looking at building your foundation. So giving you the how of leveraging those resources, tools, and information from the previous presentation and new content in this presentation and giving you the why using those resources matter and also giving you insight to what you can gain from using them. So today we're going to be covering two parts in part two. The first part is leveraging your resources, and we're going to be going over both academic resources and personal resources you can tap into. And that'll be covered by Deanna. And then part two, I'll be covering, which is making your mark, which is really looking at what that means from a general STEM undergraduate student perspective, and then how you can work on making your mark through making connections with faculty and staff, leveraging and getting involved in STEM research and internships, and then getting involved with professional STEM organizations and looking at what you can gain from that involvement as well.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the part one of this presentation, which is leveraging your resources both academically and personally. And so, like I said, hopefully this information isn't new, but it's more of just like a reminder to tap into these pieces and talk a little bit about why they're important. So let's start off with the academic component. So what do academic resources look like? So Zayla or Nicola, if you all want to type in, like when you think of academic resources, like what are you thinking of? So type in maybe one or two things that come to mind when you're thinking about academic resources. So tutoring and study groups. Yeah, so some of those things include the following, right? So tutoring and study groups. So these are the things that we're going to go a little in depth with in this presentation. Zayla also included tutoring centers and instructors. So yes, so really thinking about your resources that include a variety of things outside of the classroom, inside the classroom, personal connections. And so we're going to go over tutoring, review sessions, student policies, test bank, researching your professors, peers, printing resources, and study spaces. This is not going to include everything. Obviously, there are probably a ton of other things that come to mind, but these are things that we just want to mention that are pretty common for students to really like hone in on and should be accessible to folks. So let's start off with tutoring and academic support. And so as you all know, the AAC provides tutoring for students, and students can sign up at any point in the semester. So if folks are still like struggling a little bit, it's okay if you sign up for something at this point in the semester. Just know to connect with your retention specialist, and your retention specialist can follow up with you about those pieces and see like what we have available for you. The Institute of Learning and Teaching, also known as TILT, should be something that hopefully folks have heard about, which is a huge resource for all students, which includes study groups, right? And it looks a little different this semester because of COVID-19. They also provide workshops, just like we are providing this workshop. They do a lot of academic focused workshops, so like time management, study skills, things like that. And so it's something that a lot of students reference and that we reference students to. The Native American Cultural Center, also known as NAC, located in the Lower Student Center, provides tutoring. The tutoring is called Eagle Feather Tutoring Program. And so their tutoring schedule for each semester can be found on their website. And it has a step-by-step process about how to sign up with the tutor so that you have that resource. I believe all of these tutoring resources are remote. If there is any other communication that is stating otherwise, please keep an eye out on their website. They do pretty good about updating all of these pieces. So hopefully these aren't like new to folks, but just wanted to provide that information. Moving right along, we have a couple more that we want to talk about. Actually, let me see. Okay, so there are also maybe things that aren't on here is like the calculus and pre-calculus centers, the writing center located in the library for folks who need writing support. I know for me that was like something that I definitely struggled as an undergrad. There is also a clerk, which is the Chemistry Learning Resource Center. And then there is a couple other, let's see, AV tutoring. Nicola, do you remember what AV tutoring stands for?
It stands for Academic Village Tutoring, and it's for engineering, to help engineering folks.
Sounds good. So I would say just connect with your retention specialist and also connect with your professors for those classes that you need support in. Those are going to be really important resources that hopefully are commonly known for students. So along with some of those tutoring resources, we always want to talk about utilizing Canvas, right? So that's the AV tutoring here, Clerk, which I just mentioned, the Calculus Center and Pre-Calculus Center. So making sure that those resources are things that folks are using. Sometimes folks aren't sure of the things that are available on campus, but these are just some of the things that are available to you all as well. And let's see. For Clerk, that is a soft opt-in on Canvas, opt-in Canvas page. So this would be a great opportunity to get connected and acquainted with TAs, GAs, and professors who you are taking now, and if you are potentially taking that in the future. Let's see. The Writing Center, you can also, when you look up the Writing Center, you can go to their website and they have an appointment for like phone conversations or a Zoom call. So if you are just needing support on an assignment, they give you an option to go over some pieces with you. And then you can also upload a document, a writing document that you can have looked at, and they will send you feedback. The Student Disability Center is a great resource for students who just need accommodations in their classes. And so if you are unsure about the resources and you do have a documented disability, they can be a great resource. If you are unsure of if you have a documented disability, you can still connect with them and they can refer you to resources where you can get that testing both on campus and off campus. And then case management is also another thing that I wanted to include in here because there are a lot of things that a lot of students go through throughout their journey at CSU where sometimes their academics are being impacted. And so the case management is a resource for students. And we can also refer students as staff to case management. And what case management does is provide resources to help you navigate your academics so they can communicate with your professors if you are needing an extension in assignments and testing because something is going on in your life that is impacting your academics. And so those are like huge events, big struggles. And so if you feel like you are in a situation where you are struggling with classes because of something that's going on personally, please connect with case management. And if you're a little uncomfortable doing so, connect with one of us as your retention specialist or any other staff that you feel comfortable with to get you referred to case management. So let's talk about review sessions. Review sessions are offered for students and are divided where information is divided up on how you can approach review sessions. But first, review sessions are great to familiarize yourself with material that you have already gone over in preparation of big assignments such as tests, but it is also helpful to ensure you are actually learning and that things are making sense to you. So review sessions can be provided and they are usually led by different folks. So either TAs, GAs are usually the folks who can lead and review sessions. In addition to them facilitating these sessions are upperclassmen and tutors who you may be taking tutoring sessions with. Let's see, other things outside of review sessions, you can request support from tutors for additional support. I would say also another thing is that a lot of folks recently have been requesting study groups through like chats with folks in their class. So a lot of folks have been creating chats on Teams. I think now more than ever is really important for folks to connect virtually to get things going. And so these are a lot of like self-driven initiatives. So hopefully folks have been hearing about chats in their classes from their peers, or some students have told me that they've taken the initiative of creating that chat for their peers because it's something that they feel like they really needed. And just reaching out for help. So how are you connecting with like alumni, folks who you might know, or folks that you've met at like a networking event, upperclassmen who are classmates who who you're aware of who've taken the class. Have you connected with any AAC participants who have taken the class before? Maybe you met at an event. Some folks that I'm particularly thinking about for AAC is our STEM peer mentors. Our STEM peer mentors are students who have gone through our Arrive program and are either in their second year, third year, fourth year, and on, and are just providing support to students just through like a mentorship relationship. And so sometimes advice about like how to approach a class, who to ask for help can be just an example of some of those self-driven pieces that the AEC provides and hopefully is provided outside of the AEC. So I know I've been kind of talking a lot through these couple slides. I want to give time to see if Zayla, if you have any questions. I know that I don't want to put you on the spot, but I am just checking the chat and making sure that if folks have questions to please use the chat. All right, so moving right along, another big thing that Nicolette definitely wanted to bring into this presentation is talking about student policies. So with student policies, we wanted to draw attention to two main segments within the policies at CSU. The first one is the honor pledge. You may run into classes that may be known for cheating, especially now with doing like virtual assignments, testing. So some professors may require you to write out the honor pledge on each of your assignments. So just be conscious about that and know if that's a requirement for your classes that you're keeping an eye on it. Professors may just prefer you write it on your assignment regardless of how that class has been in terms of its reputation. If it is not required, this is something that you can do for yourself as well, just with your assignments. If that's something that you feel like you want to really ensure is happening and that you're communicating to your professors. The next segment is, let's see, is from academic policies. And so this last section that you see down here, the paragraph, the main point here is that professors are not allowed to assign or have due assignments that are worth 10% of your grade or higher during the week before finals week. So that's the week of, I believe, the 7th through the 11th of December. Some professors get away with this because students may not be paying attention to the syllabus or professors might have just forgotten. But if you do notice this in any of your classes, make sure to bring that up to your professor so that can be changed right away. This is something that I did not know as an undergrad, or maybe I remembered, but it didn't come to mind. So thank you, Nicolette, for bringing this up because that can be important. And the last thing we want folks to experience is a lot of academic stress right before finals. So look up academic policies if you have any questions or you're a little confused or concerned about anything in your classes. Any questions so far? Anything that you want to add, Nicolette? I've gone through a lot and didn't even ask if you wanted to chime in.
I'll just touch on the academic policy that you just mentioned. Like professors will definitely get away with this. I had one of my classes that I went through at CSU. I had a tutor that was a year ahead of me in her academic journey, and her steel design course had a professor give a project that was worth 12% of their grade, and they petitioned for the professor to get rid of it or move it sooner in the semester or put it down in percentage because they knew that he was violating academic policy and he had to abide by it. So he had to move it down to 7%. And then when I took the course, I had that same assignment and it was at 7% of my grade for that assignment during the week before finals week. So definitely check your professors. Like they will try to unfortunately cut corners sometimes, and this is one of the opportunities that they may take advantage of.
Thanks for sharing that example, Nicolette. Any questions about academic policies? And this just is one aspect of it, right? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move right along just because we have quite a bit of content to go over, but thank you for being here, Zayla. So the next big thing, and I don't think I knew about this either. So many resources, Nicolette is just like informing me right now. But this is another great academic resource is CSU's test bank housed in Couvers. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. I believe this is a student initiated and student driven, and it's a platform where you can add classes that you are taking, and it'll give you access to a lot of study resources such as past tests, practice tests, notes, flashcards, and professor ratings. This is really great to use, especially if you are stuck on a course. You can use the platform to gain a different perspective of another professor's teaching the same topic, or be able to see what your professor has done in the past to learn their style a bit more. Coopers has a partnership with American Student Government Association to support the stand for integrity and honor in academics. So it shouldn't be a platform where you feel like it's kind of providing information to students that might be against like policies. And so just know that it is honoring academic policies, and this partnership allows students to safely use and interact with this platform for test bank. So I just want to pose to Zayla, I know that you're here. Have you heard of this platform?
No.
Okay. And Nicola, do you have experience with this platform?
I have a little bit of experience. I mainly used it to like find notes that professors have taken for classes, and it was definitely helpful because they definitely went a little bit more in depth for past courses that they've taught. So it's definitely a useful platform, especially with the professor ratings as well. It gives you that little bit of insight of how they perform and how they structure their courses, so you can get a feel for what you're signing yourself up to when you register for classes.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's like a third party. So you're not going to find this on like the CSU website, but more of just like you're researching on your own this information. Thanks, Nicolette. All right. And along with that, another great resource, hopefully this is also not new for folks, but researching your professor is so important. And I've heard so many folks talk about struggling with the class, maybe because the style that the professor teaches isn't really something that the student felt like worked for their learning style. And they had hoped that they had taken a different professor that they had heard about or knew about, but not until after they registered. And so it's registration season, right? A lot of folks are getting the registration code. Folks are already doing the planning and looking up what is going to work for them. And so part of this, I think, is going to be really important for folks to research professors and also rate your professors. You want to provide your honest experience for other folks who later down the road will be taking similar classes. And so it provides you with information on the professors that you will take before you fully commit to taking a class with them. So you can look up potential professors by first and last name. And then you will see the display of like their rating. And so you'll see the 91% would take again, level of difficulty 2.1. And then folks can leave comments. And then a lot of theme words pop up at the bottom about the comments that folks are sharing about them. So we encourage you to really do your homework about this, especially for classes that you're feeling a little nervous about, right? You really want to know what their teaching style is. And then I would also say connect with other folks who are in your major upperclassmen to hear about other folks' experiences through firsthand. Mm-hmm. All right. The other piece is peers. Peers are a great resource. When I talk to students, I always ask if folks are connecting with their peers. And so the AEC is a good way to start if you are feeling a little intimidated in huge classrooms. Sometimes folks are doing study groups with tutors. Sometimes people just want to connect with other folks who are doing similar classes as they are. Tutors, right? Those are peers. The AEC hires students who have taken a class and gotten a B or above in the class, connecting with upperclassmates in your department. So if there are events, mentoring opportunities, those are great resources. If you know graduate students through also department events, like if you've connected with folks, they're also a great resource. Alumni, just any other support system. Going to your professors, obviously, number one recommendation, and then connecting with advisors to see if there are any opportunities to connect with peers. So why is this important? Right, professor recommendations are going to be really important as you navigate registration, as you think about like how you want your support system to look like. Creating study groups will be important. I know now with online, it is a little hard to navigate study groups. And if it feels like it doesn't work for you, that's okay. I think figuring out what works for you, continuing to try those pieces will be important. Learning different like types of study material. And so really figuring out what works for you, what methods, what platforms, having other folks introduce you to study tips and study material is really important as well. And then it can also provide you important information about how to get involved in research. So you might hear from professors, you might hear from upperclassmen who already have this experience. And sometimes that's like that networking piece that happens, right? And that leads me to the next piece, the network recommendation. So sometimes opportunities come up because you heard about it through a friend, you heard about it through a friend, or maybe you were involved with something like the AEC where you heard about maybe a research opportunity. And so it's things like that, right? You being part of the AAC is part of that already. And so think about how you can continue to gain a lot of just helpful tips from getting involved with your peers and taking advantage of department-wide and CSU-wide opportunities. Anything you want to add, Nicolette, to this slide?
I would add for the AAC participants to just recognize that it's really hard to build community right now within the AAC and meet fellow participants. So a great way to just learn who is also majoring in the same fields or who is taking similar classes as you is to email your attendance specialist. Like, let us know if you want to connect with students with that have those similar experiences that you're going through right now, and we'll be more than happy to get you connected. So you can start to begin that building that community with folks and building that academic support network.
Yeah, thank you, Nicolette. Obviously, printing is important. The AEC has had printing. Obviously, our office is closed for the semester and for the time being, but folks should know that their department offers di- different printing locations on campus. So just make sure to look that up for your department. Ask your academic advisor and professors because there are going to be a few different spots on campus. And we don't want you to have to pay for stuff if you're unaware about those pieces, but you should have free printing. And just look at the website. The Student Diversity Programs and Services, also known as SDPS offices, should also have printing. A lot of these offices have limited hours where students can come in. So just make sure to keep an eye out on those hours on their website. Those all should be updated. Hopefully, when we can reopen again safely, the AAC, we will notify our students about that so that students know when they can come into our office for free printing. And then the Adult Learner Veteran Services located in the LSC, ALVS office also has free printing. So the SDPS and ALVS offices are located in the Lower Student Center as well. Let's see. Okay. So study spaces on campus are important. The list that is included in here is the most updated study space list for during COVID. So there was a bit of a shift in terms of like what is available just for safety reasons. And so these are like general areas on campus that are open to students. And it's just that specific area within each building. And so if you are someone who you need to get out of the house if you're in the Fort Collins area, or if you are near Fort Collins, I have some students who come in from Loveland or Johnstown, which is 20 minutes out, but just really need a different space to study because their home space may be a little bit challenging, or they need a different location just to like focus a little bit more. Take advantage of these if you can, and knowing that not everyone has access to being on campus right now, but these are the most current most updated locations. Obviously, if you can find off-campus study spaces, that is also important. Some coffee shops are still open. These are just a few that are near campus. I would say just If there's something near you that you know doesn't get too busy, take advantage of that if you can. If you don't feel safe, obviously find spaces that work for you. But just know that your space and your environment is super important when studying. And of course, we'll also let you know if the AEC has capacity to do that in the future. Okay, so we are going to shift now to personal resources. And so we are going to shift a little bit from academics. So what does leveraging personal resources look like? And so when thinking about personal resources, think about like reflecting and identifying like where you are at and where would you like to be. And so when you're thinking about like, I want to be involved with research, I want to do internship this summer, volunteering and service learning, study abroad, really recognizing like, how are you feeling with like mental health? How are you feeling with like resources to help you get to these spaces where you want to be? So I would say reflect and identify two things. Structure how you can go about navigating different resources on a personal level. So I want to pose in the chat here for folks in the space. Oops. Like, what are things that you're thinking about where you want to be? Like something that you've been thinking a lot about. Maybe I want to be in this internship at this specific location that I know about, hopefully by this summer. Nicolette, I know that you are going to be in grad school soon. So that as an example, sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, you're good. You are good.
Cool. So I'm just using that as an example. Like, how are you also asking yourself these questions about like your personal needs, right? So sometimes for folks that's like mental health, physical health, like personal things that are important, right? So just as you are thinking about like research, internships, all these opportunities, also think about just like your personal like needs as like important. And so that's how we're going to navigate this next section. I'm going to go through it a little quicker because I know Nicolette has some time that she needs for her section. So the SDPS, like I mentioned before, SDPS offices are really great for making connections through identities, and that's a big part of your experience and really important. Slice office is helping students get connected to organizations on campus because that community involvement is important. Education abroad for folks who are really interested in making those or taking advantage of those opportunities at some point, hopefully, right? So organizations that sometimes come through the Slice office or through departments include United in STEM organizations, like major specific organizations, and also non-STEM organizations. I also included in there AEC events. You all being here is part of the program in our office, but we also do optional community building events that are great for folks to get connected and build connections with folks. So what you can gain from this is just getting access to professionals within your field and getting access to important information such as like graduate school, how to get involved with research, obtaining internships, and other opportunities. And I'm more of just like personal needs. Here are a few things on campus that you can use. The CSU Health Network, of course, provides a ton of opportunities for folks to do counseling. If you need any health, like checkups, routines, just make sure to utilize that resource. Tell Someone is also a resource for folks if you're concerned about anyone or yourself. It's a great resource. And then SDPS is included in here again, just for the identity connection. Community via organizations. You at CSU is a platform that CSU uses for folks to include blogs about a lot of topics that come up for students' experience. So I always use that as that website to like pull in resources for students, and you have access through it via your own web. Any updates about COVID are going to be important, and you can find that in the COVID website to CSU. And so a lot of that is like academic updates, any updates for campus that are important for students. And then just keep an eye out on the university calendar for things that are coming up for the year that you want to take advantage of that are big CSU events. Okay, I know I went through that a little quick, but I just wanted to hand it off to Nicolette. I know that was a lot, but definitely take your time to go through this presentation and the recording. If you have any questions about any of the pieces that I talked about, let Nicolette or I know because we have the links to everything. So just make sure that there was something to follow up with us.
Thanks, Deanna. Okay, so we're going to dive right into our next section. I want to be mindful of time, so I may be rushing a little bit through this since we have about 20 more minutes. I want to make sure that you can get on with what you need to for the day. So starting off, this next section is making your mark. So I'm going to be explaining a little bit about what this means from a STEM undergraduate perspective, and then I'm going to dive into how can you work on making your mark as a STEM undergraduate student by looking at making connections with faculty and staff, getting involved in research and internships and professional STEM organizations, and also providing you that why getting involved and making your mark in these areas will bring you. Okay, so when I think about and pose the question, what does making your mark mean from a STEM undergraduate's perspective, I kind of think of these two pieces. The first one is taking the time to put in the work and energy for holistic STEM success. And what that means is taking the time and energy to really invest in yourself to shape and cultivate the success during your time at CSU. And STEM success has multiple components. It's not just your academics, it can be include building your network, getting yourself integrated into predominant STEM groups, as well as gaining STEM experience. And gaining STEM experience itself can look very different as well. So really focusing on looking at what STEM success looks like for you, and then diving into how you can invest into making that success a reality for yourself. The second piece is putting in some work and energy to make your presence in the college known and appreciated while in college. So taking the time to really have your presence like acknowledged, have folks understand why you're here, what you're doing, and really making your name and presence known. So folks know you more than just a STEM undergraduate student. And we're going to be walking through how you can work on these pieces by getting involved and getting connected with professional organizations, getting that faculty and staff engagement, as well as research and internships. So we're going to start off with faculty and staff connections. So starting with faculty, getting involved and like connected with them can look like a lot of different things. And I kind of split it up to be really relevant to you during this time during the pandemic. So I have both in-person and virtual options for you to get connected with faculty. The first one is pretty similar, just the different avenues that you could take. So office hours, just taking the time to attend those really catches your professors and faculty's attention because it shows that you're really invested in your academics, but also yourself, because you can use those office hours to not only address academic needs, but also needs that you have for that holistic STEM success that I was talking about. So getting involved with research, navigating what you want to do after graduation. It's a great time to have those conversations with your faculty members during office hours. The next piece is looking at course engagement because professors really look at how you engage with your courses. So the first one is if you're in person and if you're comfortable sitting as close as you can to the front of the class, because it really reflects that you're really present in the course as well as you're invested in learning and being engaged with the course content that the faculty is presenting. And then engaging with the course if it's in person, asking questions and ask them before or after class if the faculty is available, and definitely asking questions during class if you're comfortable. And attending class as well. Faculty are very mindful of the consistency of your attendance as well as if your attendance is lacking. So being able to be mindful of your attendance of your classes definitely will pique your faculty's attention and support you with building those connections. And then being proactive with your academics, so taking it a step further, not just meeting the demands and requests that your professors have, but also taking it a step further and like critically thinking to like why are your professors asking you to do what they're doing, and present that to them so you can further your education a little bit, and to also show your professors and faculty that you're really interested in what they're presenting and engaging with you in class. And then the last one for in person is meeting outside of office hours. It really reflects that, again, you're invested in yourself and your academic journey. And it also gives you the time to meet with your professors and faculty to talk about things that are not academic, because professors and faculty are people too, and we sometimes forget about that. So meeting with them outside of office hours is that opportunity to really get to know them and connect with them on a different level that isn't necessarily academic. Okay, and then for staff connections, how can that look like? And some of these ways touch on both doing it in person and virtual. So the first one is meeting those essential meeting requirements. So making sure that you're meeting those meetings with signing up for classes for the next semester and any other requirements that you have. It means a lot to your staff and your academic advisors when you follow through with this, and it'll bring attention to yourself to them as well. The next one is meeting outside of those meeting requirements. So similar to faculty, staff members and your advisors are more than their position. So taking the time to actually get to know them and invest in a relationship with them is something that they'll appreciate and value with the connection that you're trying to bring them. And it also gives you an opportunity to connect with them and other things that you're interested in, such as learning what's going on in the department and college. Trying to get connected with research and internships is a great time to use that time outside of your meeting times to dive deep into those topics with those STEM and academic advisors. And the last one is maintaining healthy email communication, and it really reflects on your willingness to like be invested and engaged in your academic journey. And some ways to really cultivate and shape that healthy communication is, again, meeting those meeting requirements that you have with them, but also taking it a step further and being one of the first few people that schedule those meetings with them as soon as you can. They'll take notice of that, and they'll appreciate the fact that you're making those meetings more quickly and earlier than the rest of the students that they interact with. You can also ask them about upcoming events, because they really work with other academic advisors and event coordinators. So they are really versed in what's happening within the college and department. So they'll be able to support you with getting more integrated within the department as well. And the last one is that they've really interacted with a lot of different students. So they have a lot of insight and knowledge ready to share with you. So emailing them and asking them how has their past student interactions been, and asking them specific questions of how have students in the past gotten involved with like research and internships, what are some events that students have attended in the past and why, and they'll be ready and happy to share that with you, because that's what they're here for. Like they want to ensure that you are making progress to your success, and you portraying that in email communication will help you make that deeper connection with them and to continue to cultivate the success that you're working towards. Okay, next is what can you gain from taking the time to invest in these relationships and connections with faculty and staff? And some things that come to mind is some benefits within the career and graduate school, some things that students may be looking towards shaping out for themselves to pursue. So both of them have similar wording, but they look a lot different for each one. So for career, a lot of your faculty and staff will either be established experts and professionals, or they'll be emerging experts and professionals. And what I mean by that is established experts and professionals will have a wealth of experience and knowledge and time that they've invested in certain careers that they have worked in the past, or they are currently. So they have a lot of history and knowledge within that. Emerging experts and professionals are more of those who just are entering their career field or their position at CSU, or they may have just transitioned from something that they were currently working on and weren't there for a long time. So they're working up, getting more acquainted within their field. And each of these bring different benefits. So with established experts within careers, they're going to be really knowledgeable of how companies have performed historically. So when you converse with them about different career paths that you want to go down for, they'll be able to give you historical data of how it traditionally has performed. And so you can get a better sense and feeling of like what you're getting into and how you can shape yourself into that. While emerging experts will have more up-to-date information of how companies and like careers are performing, and they'll also be more aware of who is emerging and who is providing that innovative outlet for your career. So both of these types of experts that are reflected in your faculty and staff can give you a wide range of information for how you could take and navigate the careers that you're interested in. With developed network, establish experts and professionals, since they have that history and they have their foot in the door, they have accumulated a lot of credibility and a lot of connections over the years. So when they're making connections and giving access to opportunities, their name will be carrying a lot more weight than than emerging experts. So it'll hold more meaning when they're connecting you and recommending you for these different career opportunities. For graduate school, similar to careers, established experts are going to be more traditionally versed of how graduate programs and schools have traditionally performed, while emerging experts will be able to give you more up-to-date information of how schools and programs are performing. So both of these sides of graduate school and programs are really pertinent, and you'll want to make those connections with these different types of faculty and staff. And then similar to careers with established experts, they'll have a developed network within graduate school and programs when they relay you and connect you to different folks in different graduate schools and programs. It'll carry a little bit more weight, and they'll actually have a relationship with the person that they're connecting you to. So you can start conversations off of that and segue into what you are contacting them for and being relayed for. And then lastly, for what you can gain for faculty and staff connections is really that personal connection, which can hopefully turn into a mentorship, and they can provide a lot of personal insights. So the first two is mainly academic based. So they can provide you some information on possible academic challenges that you'll be facing and provide you academic insights so you can more confidently navigate the different obstacles that you may be facing. Some examples of what they can support you with is you can ask them about professors that you're going to be taking soon, and you can ask them, how is their teaching style traditionally? What is the historically like known for this class? So you can be better prepared academically and just mentally to navigate these different courses. They'll be also be able to give you recommendations of who to take the classes with and who to wait on. Building those connections will allow you to that information. The next one is transitions. You'll be going through a lot of transitions through undergrad with the STEM experience that you want to gain, and they'll be able to support you through that. So if you're going to be embarking on research, they can support you with navigating that research and academic balance. If you're transitioning into taking internships or co-ops, they'll be able to give you insight and advice of how to do that work and school life balance. And the last one is life guidance. You'll be making a lot of decisions based off of how you're impacted throughout your undergraduate career. Because as you go through courses and as you, sorry, my door opened. As you go through courses and as you interact with folks, it'll influence the decisions that you make with how you're navigating your major, and they'll be able to support you through that, because going through that and making those tough decisions by yourself without a lot of insider influence is difficult, and they'll be able to support you with that. Okay, the next section is going over research and internships. So getting connected with research, there is no clear way of how to get involved in research, unfortunately, but there has been some successful ways that students in the past and alumni have been able to connect with research. And I divided it up with in-person avenues and virtual avenues. So the first one for in-person, researching the professors that you're interested in doing research with and researching their office hours that they have, regardless if you're taking the class or not with them yet. And you'll want to be mindful that if you're not taking the class with them, to try to attend the office hours as early as possible of it starting or close to when it's ending. That way you're not interrupting the students that need the support, but also giving you that access and opportunity to interface with professors you're interested in doing research with in person. The next one is attending professional lectures. CSU is known to invite professionals and researchers to CSU to give lessons and updates over the current research they're doing or the current work that they're doing. And that's a great opportunity to not only become aware of what's happening within your major and research focus, but it also gives you the opportunity to connect with them one-on-one, as well as other folks in the room, because they'll most likely be others interested in research or doing research. So it's a great networking opportunity for you to take advantage of. And there's some of the avenues that this can happen through is the Laurie Student Center and departments and colleges, and some folks that you can contact to be aware and become informed of when these professional lectures happen is your academic advisors and events and program coordinators. For a virtual, whether you take a virtual path or an in-person path, I strongly suggest just researching your professors, looking at their CSU bios, looking at their LinkedIn pages, and especially looking at their CVs and resumes, because their CVs and resumes can tell you a lot about the research that they've done in the past and are doing currently. And most importantly, it can tell you the current and past undergraduate and graduate students that they've had doing research. And seeing those students can tell you a lot itself. The first thing that I could tell you is give you a projection of the professor's capacity of students that they could take on for research. So you can look at how many students they've taken in the past and look at their current students that they have now. And you can see and kind of estimate, will they have capacity for you to do research on underneath them, or will they kind of be going out of their way to try to fit you in, so you can be mindful about the approach you take when you're contacting professors. And another thing that you can also gain from looking at the graduate students on their resume is just the names themselves. You can look these folks up and ask them, like, how did you get involved with this research? How was the relationship you had while doing research for the professor? So you can gauge how that experience will be from a student perspective. So it's really important to get a hold of their CV and resume, because it can give you a wealth of knowledge for getting connected with research for the professor. Then lastly, just reaching out to your professors. It's going to be difficult. When you email, when you call, you're going to possibly not get a lot of responses, but they will notice your persistence. And when you do get in contact with them, they're going to show appreciation that you took the time to continuously try to get in contact with them. Because if professors are doing research and if they're really passionate about it and really invested in it, it's going to be really hard for them to take time to look and see if folks are connecting with them for research. So they might accidentally push your email to the side, push your voicemail to the side. But if you continuously keep at it and trying to get their attention, they'll take notice of it and they'll appreciate it. Continuing on with how to get involved with research. Some of these are pretty similar. So the first one, for in-class announcements, professors really like to vocalize when they have research openings or opportunities within the college or department. So being mindful of those announcements, whether it's in person or on Canvas. The second one is looking up who your diversity and inclusion staff member is within your college or department. One of the things that these folks do is take the time to connect students with what they're interested in doing, so they can help you point you in the right direction for getting involved with research and give you that support in hand. For in-person, I highly encourage you to attend research symposiums. The main two at CSU is Murals and Cirque. And this allows you to see what research is happening in what departments, by what students, and you'll be able to connect with those students. So you can ask them those crucial questions of how did you get involved with research with this professor? Are you enjoying your experience so far with the research that you're doing? And these research symposiums also have a lot of judges that more times than not are researchers and professionals themselves. So you can use that as a networking opportunity as well. And also another avenue to figure out how to get yourself into research. And then attending professional and student organization meetings. A lot of student orgs on campus, one of their main components of how they operate is inviting those researchers, inviting those professionals. So this is an opportunity just waiting to be tapped into with these professionals and professional organizations. For virtually opting into newsletters, there might be department and college newsletters and newsletters from different programs that you're a part of, such as the AEC, that will list opportunities to get involved with research as well. And the next one is the National Science Foundation, which is a federal organization that is kind of the hub for the United States and a part of um, and a program within the National Science Foundation is Research Experience for Undergraduates, REUs. Become very familiar with this acronym because REUs are very popular across the United States, and it's a great opportunity, and it's meant to support students to get their foot in the door with research and to continue to advance their skills in research. And more times than not, they have financial support to help those that are selected within the REU programs to relocate temporarily to complete this REU. So it won't bring financial burden to you, and it'll also let you have the opportunity to get involved in research. And then the last thing is asking your support system. So asking your retention specialist if they know other students involved in research, if they've had students in the past, such as alumni, to ask to get connected with them because they've been through this and they're ready to share their experiences and knowledge of how they got connected so they can support you with getting connected with research.
Really quickly, Nicolette, I just want to mention, I know we are close to time, so folks have to head out. That's totally okay. We are going to record the rest of this. We do have a few more slides left, so we totally understand, and you can just follow up with the recording. Okay. All right. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I was like going ham. I didn't even notice the time. Do you have any questions, Zayla, so far? Because I know I'm trying to like go through it fast. So have you thought of any questions so far?
Not at the moment, I don't.
Okay, awesome. So I'll keep chugging along. So for internships of how to get connected, a lot of the ways to do that is pretty similar to getting involved with research. So I'll skip to the different unique pieces. So attending networking events. So attending those professional lectures, attending CSU career fairs, either offered to the campus overall or within the colleges and departments specifically. And then connecting with the CSU Career Center, like this is what they do day in and day out. Like they're ready to support students with getting connected with co-ops and internships. So tapping into that research when you have time and energy. And then reaching out to professors again, giving them an email, giving them a call about how to get involved with internships and what opportunities are out there. And then continue on with how to get connected. The main thing from in-person is being mindful of advertisements that are posted around campus. So you might have seen televisions on campus. They'll have advertisements of internships that are open. Bulletin boards will have a lot of flyers and information advertising internships that are open. For virtual, the main thing that I really want to emphasize is utilizing those professional platforms, LinkedIn and Handshake especially. If you haven't already, make accounts for these. Folks and professionals are really leaning more towards these, especially at CSU with Handshake. So getting yourself acquainted with these platforms so you can allow yourself access to these opportunities of internships. And then what can you gain from getting connected and involved with research and internships? The first one is what me and Deanna have been really harping on tonight is that network, developing your network in general, as well as career and major specific. This will also let you have hands-on experience because lectures and labs can only go so far. You need to be able to allow yourself real field experience, and research and internships will allow you this. You also have skill development. You'll be developing skills that you already have, as well as new skills that you've yet to discover, such as literature reviews for research. And you'll also have the opportunity to experience professional development. You'll be able to develop areas that you're more acquainted with, as well as other areas that need some growth and improvement. Then lastly, which I think is the most important, is the self-professional discovery. So discovering what enjoyments you have, what you don't like about your major, and most importantly, those hidden interests and passions that you've yet to discover. Okay, and lastly is professional STEM organizations. So how to get involved with this, a lot of this can be in person or virtual. So the first one is getting yourself connected with Ramlink. CSU has a hub of all the registered student organizations, and it's housed on Ramlink. So you can look up all of the professional or collegiate-based organizations that are tied to a professional STEM organization. You can also ask your professors, advisors, diversity inclusion, staff members, and folks within your support system of what professional STEM organizations should you be leaning towards and what is specific to your major. So you can make sure you can intentionally be putting your energy where it needs to go for getting involved with professional student organizations. And then emailing. If you have time to do personal research of what professional STEM organizations should you get involved of based off your major, and you find them, you can contact them and ask them, is there any local collegiate or professional chapters within Fort Collins or Colorado? And they'll be able to give you that connection. They can also give you information of how to get connected if there is no local opportunities for you. And then newsletters, the newsletters that you opt into, they'll give you access to this information as well. And then what can you gain? You can gain so much by getting involved in professional STEM organizations. You'll have access to the latest research and careers within your field, and you'll also gain access to professional and academic development opportunities. And again, as we've been really focusing on tonight, is that network development. And these are some professional STEM organizations that I kind of thought of because I have that engineering background, but this completely is not exhaustive. This is just what I thought of. So the first two is engineering organizations that has a collegiate branch of a professional STEM organization on campus. And I found those through Ramlink. The second two are, again, engineering professional organizations as well that engineers traditionally get involved with. And that's all for that section. Before we move into like a quick reflection, do you have any questions, Zayla?
No.
Okay, awesome. So we just wanted to pose the question so you can like really think about what you've learned today and hopefully take with you. What will you be taking away from this presentation?
Just like the importance of like reaching out to your professors and like finding that balance between like taking time for yourself and then like also taking time for your academic, and reaching out to your professors and staff about like internships and research opportunities. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Did you want to add something, Deanna?
I just also want to say that this is also like a good reflection spot to think about, like, out of everything that we talked about, like, what are things that you are already doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not to say that, like, these are things you're not doing and you need to be doing this, but it's also just really recognizing, like, things that you've already been doing as part of your journey and things that can also be a part of your resource, your network, all those things, because it's super important to also recognize how far you've already come and all the successes that you've probably had already. So yeah, that's important too. Thanks for sharing, Zaylan. Sorry to put you on the spot since you're here.
That's fine.
Cool.
And the last thing I wanted to leave y'all with is just this picture that I found while building this presentation. It's ask, always seek knowledge. So continue to be curious, ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Like folks invite you to be curious and to seek this knowledge and more knowledge. And the information that you do gain from folks, use what you think will be beneficial to you. Like not every single question answered and all the information you get will be relevant to you or you want to tap into. So picking out the pieces that's useful for you. So definitely continue to ask and be curious.
Yeah.
We don't have to go through the reminders.
Okay. Sounds good. Um, I think that is going to be it. We'll probably just go through these pieces after you leave, Zayla. So just make sure to fill out that evaluation for Thrive. I believe you're in Thrive in the STEM Thrive program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for all of our STEM Thrive students who are engaging with this recording or we're here live, just make sure to go and fill out the Cliff evaluation. So you can go onto the website. I don't have the link right here. Nicola, would you be able to just pull that link really quickly? And Zayla, if you have it, that's okay. I would say just do it right after this so that you don't forget.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Cool. Nicolette, let's just, I can just use the last slide. If you want to talk about these pieces for the recording, do you think that would be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. Zayla, feel free to jump off. You don't have to stay for this part. We're just going to do some pieces for the recording for Arrive and other STEM Thrive students.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good
Thank
one.
you for coming.
You too.
Okay, so for STEM Arrive folks, here are some reminders for all of the sessions happening this month. So today was session 6. So if you do interact with this recording, we encourage you to fill out that post-evaluation survey so we can document your credit for that. Session 8 is the self-care activity. That's been going on since November 6th and conclude on November 20th, which includes reading those articles and interacting with that Padlet. And we do ask you to complete that post evaluation as well. And this is a required session, session 8. Session 10 is happening this week as well. It is recorded, or not recorded, required. It is a pre-recorded presentation. So take some time and interact with that presentation and then fill out the post-evaluation survey. And then for next week is our next two sessions. They're both optional, but we highly encourage you to attend. We have a lot of great panelists that are coming that are all faculty members that are ready to connect with you. And the panel is happening on November 17th, which is a Tuesday at noon. And then in that session 11, again, optional. And then we have session 9, which is also optional, which is part 3 of this series that you got to see today. And it'll be November 19th at 4 p.m. And I'll pass it to Deanna to talk about our lovely peer mentors.
Yeah, thanks, Nicolette. I just want to go back real quick. I'm so excited for the STEM faculty connections because we have some faculty who are super excited to be there. We have about 4 to 5. They're just super excited. So we hope that folks can make it to that one as well, along with the rest that are available for the semester. So I just want to take some time to talk about our STEM peer mentors, just because this is something that happened in the middle of Arrive, which was a little hard for folks to know about. So I just want to remind our Arrive students, if you are engaging with this recording right now, that for Arrive students, we have STEM peer mentors in our program. These are AEC students who have been a part of Arrive already and are either in their second year, third year, fourth year, and so on. And they want to be a guide and a resource to all of our Arrive students. And so you'll see that on Canvas, there is a module, and that module is called STEM Peer Mentors, and that includes all of their information. So you'll find these flyers to get to know them a little bit more. You'll see an events section in that module where you can see like the events that they're hosting for you all. Those events are meant to be more just like community building, having some fun, getting folks and Arrive to build that community. So like feel free to attend those. They're excited and they want you to really utilize them as a resource and just for a personal connection. They are also doing one drop-in hour per week, each of them, for one-on-one support. And so if there's anything that you are learning or taking away from these sessions and you want like follow-up information, or you just really want to connect with someone who has been maybe in your shoes, or you just want to see like a little bit more about their perspective as students, they are having drop-ins, and all of that information is in that module. You'll see the link, their schedule, and they have an event coming up later in December. And so just keep an eye out on that. And they'll be available next semester too for students after they're done and arrive. So once you are in the Thrive program in the spring, they'll still be available to you all, but they're super excited to be working with you all. I know it's been kind of hard to have them be in spaces with you all, but I think our virtual space makes it a little hard, but just know that they're here for you. If you have any questions about our STEM peer mentors, feel free to reach out to Nicolette or I via Canvas, or all of our information is there, or talk to your retention specialist. But we definitely want you to utilize this resource. They're great. Anything you want to add, Nicolette, about our STEM peer mentors?
Yeah, I'm just so excited that we have STEM peer mentors. When I went through the AEC, I went through the SSS program, and we had similar folks. They're called group navigators, and they were so helpful through my experience through the Arrive seminar series, as well as just getting acquainted with campus and the resources and information throughout my time at CSU for my first year. So STEM peer mentors is an exact equivalent to that. So definitely take advantage and like build these relationships with these folks. Like they're excited to do the work that they're doing and to support you. So they're here for what you need. So definitely connect with them with how you can and how you're comfortable and with the time that you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicolette. Well, I think that concludes this recording and this session. Please remember to fill out that eval that Nicolette mentioned, and for our Arrive students and for all of our STEM Thrive students engaging with this recording, make sure to follow up with that CLIF evaluation form that can be found on the website. All of them are the same for each of the CLIFs, so just make sure to click on one and make sure to complete that before December 11th. Well, thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, please follow up with Nicolette and I. Thank you all.
Thanks, y'all.